Do you have anything that you want to add to this interview that we weren't able to get to?
Well, yeah, I think one of the main problems that universities are having is that, and that's one of the reasons we're organizing a group of faculty and staff who are trying to help AB 540 students, is that institutions are not set up to help these kinds of students, partly because these students don't want to be known by the institution as such, right? So if you're an if you're an undocumented student, you could be an AB 540 student and still be a citizen, but you can be an AB 540 student and an undocumented student. So if you're an undocumented student, you don't want the institution to know that you are undocumented. Yet the institution has to find ways of helping these kinds of students, identifying them, and help them navigate college in many different areas. Partly is the fundraising activity, partly is provide some areas that are sort of safe for them to navigate, provide some curriculum spaces, meaning classes where they can take that are going to be able to help facilitate some kind of dialogue about these issues, and some action, I'm hoping, and also help them have access to two types of counseling that I think are going to be very important. One is psychological counseling, because a lot of AB 540 students have been put through really tough situations and they're always under stress, right? If you leave without papers, it's a very stressful situation because you never know who to trust about your status, right? You never know if the person that's in front of you is going to be somebody who is going to discriminate against you because you're an immigrant or because you are not here in the country legally. So it's like a superhero, right? They have a double identity. They have an identity that is really for public consumption, and they have an identity that is the real identity. They have to hide in many ways who they are, and that causes a lot of stress, psychologically speaking, and I think that affects their lives through school, through college. And obviously they face other kinds of sort of institutional ways in which they are discriminated against. So they need some kind of counseling that will help them navigate better their lives and their lives through college. And the institution needs to help them provide that. And the other aspect, obviously, that's more controversial because that's an issue that many people will feel uncomfortable about, is the legal, not provide them with legal representation, but provide them with access to legitimate venues of legal counseling. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say corruption, but it is some form of corruption in the legal profession, and people who are close to the legal professions, right, who cheat a lot of immigrants about their immigration papers, and then they take the money of somebody and they say they will apply whatever, right, status, and they apply for the wrong thing, and then people end up being deported when they had a chance to do it, or they just take the money and they never apply to anything. So I think students need to have access to some kind of legitimate legal counseling that will allow them and their families to find that solution. After all, AB 540 requires them to sign this affidavit that says they're going to apply for legal status if they can, right? And in many cases, that has been the case for the families, right? The stories of AB 540 students are so fluid. There are some people assume, well, these folks just don't have papers. But they have no idea that all the immigration processes are so long. I mean, a petition of a relative could take 10 years, 15 years. So in the meantime, you are in limbo. You're in a status that you don't know if you are legal or not here. So many students are in that situation, or their families are in that situation, so they will be able to regularize their status later on. But nobody cares because they don't know really how long this process is.